welcome to my channel. A couple of things I wanted to say before we get into the video. One, I know it's kind of low quality. I'm filming on my phone right now, but I'm not gonna shell out for a camera until I've been doing this for a while and know it's actually going to last. Second, this book that I'm talking about came out in 2011, so I know I'm a little late to the game, but I'm really mad about it, and all I could find was really great reviews about it, so I wanted to put something out there to expose it. The book I'm going to be talking about, if you can't tell by the title, is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness, and it's trash. It's horrible. I only read half of it. I don't think I'm ever going to finish it, so I thought I'd just go ahead and film this. All the sticky notes are of the main characters like doing something or somebody else saying something, and I'm like, wow, they really shouldn't be together because the male is garbage. So I have all these sticky notes. I have like pages of notes. So let's get into it. So first of all, this book had like nothing but great reviews, and it sounded really interesting. It's about the main character. Her name is Diana Bishop. She's a scholar. She's like from this old line of witches. She's like a history professor at Oxford. Anyway, so one day while she's doing research, she comes across like this ancient manuscript, and all these different creatures want to get it from her, basically, because it's been lost and she's like the one who found it. And she meets this vampire named Matthew Claremont, and I hate him, but for some reason, it's like a romance, but it's like a Twilight romance. So first of all, like, there's like this whole cliche, like the trope that Diana's not that pretty, but everyone thinks she is pretty except for her. And she's also clumsy. Like, she meets Matthew. They run into each other at the library. She realizes that he's a vampire. She tries to get away from him, but she like trips and falls into him. And like, I guess that's when it all starts. But I also don't understand why Matthew is so attractive, because he's like the undead, and every time she describes, like the author describes Matthew, it's like, oh, he's so cold, he's so pale, he's basically a walking corpse. So yeah, Diana's just this kind of like quirky, bookish person. I don't even know where to begin on how awful Matthew is, honestly. Just from the beginning, I went back and I started making notes. I didn't start out leaving these sticky notes, but I went back and added them because I was super confused when Diana and Matthew started going on a date, because I didn't understand it, because they have like no chemistry. She's just afraid of him all the time. Like, he makes her uncomfortable. She tries to get away from him. Like, the author is describing her as having all these feelings of fear. So it's like, why would you go on a date with somebody that you're physically afraid of? And also, he's like, I mean, he's a vampire. He's super creepy. Let me find, where is it? He comes into her room while she's asleep. That's page 28. So pretty freaking early on in the book. This is like right after they've met at the library. He swung out from the wall and kicked his feet up and through the witch's kitchen window. It had been a very long time since a vampire had climbed into a woman's rooms. And then he watches her sleep. So I was talking to the camera for probably 10 minutes and then found out that it only recorded the first 4 minutes. It's fine. This might be better because I was kind of rambling a lot. So the first one cut off. I was so close to the beginning. When he jumped into her room, kind of the next big thing. I mean, there's a bunch of little things, but I can't talk about every single sticky note. We'll be here forever, and maybe it won't record again. So the next big thing is they go out to like a coffee shop, and like there's this whole trope that Diana's not that cute, or she doesn't think she's that cute. I mean, turtlenecks, khakis, and loafers are not, I don't know, not very fashionable. But anyway, they're out at this coffee shop, and Matthew overhears some guy say that she looks tasty, which, first of all, gross. But he gets like all upset about it, and Diana's like, no, it's no big deal. But anyway, it's just like that whole stupid thing. Like, he's way overprotective of her. Like, they're not even dating at that point. And like, even if they were, I don't know. Like, if she's cute, you're not going to be able to stop guys from being like, oh, she's cute. I don't know why anyone would say she looks tasty. That's just gross and weird. And then there's this whole thing about Matthew wants to open the door for her. And she's not rude about it. She's just like, I'd rather open the door myself. And he gets legitimately upset at her. And Diana kind of just brushes it off as, oh, he's just old-fashioned. He's also ridiculous. And then there's just like a bunch of things he does that scares her or makes her uncomfortable. Like, there's this one line, but it was Matthew's remoteness combined with his flashes of anger and abrupt mood swings that scared me. And he's supposed to be like this ancient vampire, but he has like the emotional maturity of a 17-year-old boy. It's too much. Matthew has a conversation with his friend Hamish, the demon, because in this story there's vampires, witches, humans, and demons. And so, of course, the vampire's best friend is a demon. But Matthew has killed, like, the last 2 women that he loved. I forget what happened to the second one. The first one, though, Matthew was in an argument with his brother, and the woman, like, came in between them, and he killed her. So, you know, A+, boyfriend material. Oh, and then they have this really weird conversation on page 135 where Matthew is trying to, like, talk Diana out of liking him. You mustn't romanticize vampires. And so she says that they're friends, but then Matthew gets mad that she said they were friends. And he says that vampires aren't particularly good at friendship. He sounded angry again. Vampire relationships are complicated. We can be protective, possessive even. You might not like it. And because Diana has these things that are after her trying to kill her, she says that she wouldn't mind a little protection. And he says, I'll remind you of that when you start complaining. Then just a couple more big things that I really want to mention. One is where Diana gets upset and she tries to leave and Matthew grabs her. No, she doesn't try to leave, sorry. She just turns away and he grabs her and, like, turns her around. And then she tries to leave because that's not acceptable behavior. But that's not acceptable behavior from anyone. And then he refuses to let her go. And it's this huge thing. Diana is like, let me go. He won't let her go. It just goes on and on. And then later he kind of apologizes for it. But he says, all I wanted for you to do was stand still for a moment and listen. And I don't know. If somebody is so upset. Like, she wasn't even trying to leave at first. She was just trying to turn away. Like, you still could have talked to her. And then when you grabbed her, of course she didn't want to stand still and talk to you. Because that's horrible, and no one should do that. Anyway, the other thing that he did, what page was that on? But it was literally horrible. Hold on. Page 196? No. Maybe? Oh, yeah. So, like I said, Diana has anxiety, and she has an anxiety attack, and she, like, is crying, whatever. I think they're in her room. Yeah, Matthew has taken her back to her bedroom. And at first he's like, I'm just going to get you some water, you're going to rest. And then, take these, he said, handing me 2 tiny pills along with the water. What are they? A sedative. I've been carrying one since you told me you suffered from panic attacks. I hate taking tranquilizers. You've had a shock and you've got too much adrenaline in your system. You need to rest. And then she sleeps from, this is 6 o'clock at night until 1 the next afternoon. Like, okay, so the vampire is supposed to be a doctor, but that doesn't, I don't know, that doesn't excuse him giving medicine without her consent. And, like, we don't even know what the medicine is. And he doesn't tell her, like, what if she has an allergy or something? What if she has some kind of reaction to it? And also, okay, so I'm a nurse. If I gave a patient medicine that knocked them out from 6 o'clock one night to 1 o'clock the next afternoon, I would be in, like, you would be in so much trouble because that's way too long to have someone literally knocked out. Like, she's asleep that whole time. She wakes up and she's, like, disoriented and doesn't know what's going on. So yeah, it's like definitely not okay. And Matthew just kind of brushes it off. It's like, oh, you were panicking. You needed something. And then again, like, oh, she wakes up and she's like, what did you give me? And again, he's just like, tranquilizers. And she's like, I don't like taking medicine like that. And he's like, well, next time I'll just let you suffer. Like, you're the worst boyfriend ever if you're like, well, your options are either I knock you out for like 18 hours or you just panic and suffer. Like, just be there for her. Let her relax. Don't make her take drugs that she doesn't want and that are obviously way too strong for her. Anyway, A Discovery of Witches is garbage, in my opinion. I won't be reading the next two books in this trilogy, which is super disappointing. The story does sound really interesting. Like, I want to see Diana... Oh, the light's going. I want to see Diana develop her powers. I want to see... Like, I want to find out about this ancient, mysterious text. I just hate Matthew. I hate this forced romance. Yeah, can't recommend it. Thanks for watching.